to this gnome in Ironforge, and his one-liners are starting to get really annoying.
What are you doing that for?
To get exalted with Nomergon
For what?
for the mount.
He wants to ride the cock.
Yep. I finally collected enough rune cloth from killing trash packs in Strathholm that I am willing to pay the rest of the price for it. So.
Is anybody else playing hardcore?
Yeah.
Not now.
No.
Played it before. Yeah.
Oh, so that's what I've been on.
Yeah, I popped a new stream the other day.
Yeah. Which character?
It was your Tarn Hunter.
Yeah, it's fucking dead again.
What happened?
Hunters are hard. Especially if you play.
I can't talk shit. I was leveling a hunter when I was watching you, and I died on that hunter.
Hunters are hard, especially if you
It
play
was really
BM.
funny. He texted me and was like, "I'm not gonna die," and then he's like, "I died."
Like 5 minutes.
Well, it depends if it was the level 9 or the level 8. Both times it was just me being retarded.
Yeah, it's hard to die below 20. You can't die below 20 in WoW.
I wasn't even mad.
Like 30.
Yeah, I wasn't even mad. There's nothing it could have done.
Huh?
How many shamans did you lose to the Barons?
Oh, well, that was not really playing hardcore. That was just running down the road. But the answer to your question is 2.
Yeah, I'm on my second mage, my second undead mage, and then I'm leveling a paladin on Alliance.
Oh boy.
Paladin's level 12.
I want to do an all paladin group on hardcore, like 5 paladins. But people are like, that sounds terrible.
That's terrible for sure.
Does, especially if one of them's holy.
No, it's great. No, just 5 protection.
You just hit Joy. Wow. Nice Owen Wilson there, Joy. Wow.
Look, all I'm saying is now that I've played TBC Ret Paladin, I can never.
Just waiting for some people to join here, and we'll get this started just so I can record this and save it.
I think the big problem with a hunter and frankly with the mage in hardcore is you have to religiously level your defense, because it's that time that you get stressed out and 2 or 3 people are attacking you and you haven't leveled defense and you're sitting 2 or 3 levels 10, 15
And this video is Ultimate Battle for Mount Hydra guide. This is a spreadsheet included.
You need to get yourself hit by something.
So,
I
see you guys here.
The other day, I was level 10 and I was in a cave.
Oh, I hate that shit.
So it wasn't even my fault. I recalled my pet, and he ran back to me. Then he ran down the side of a cliff, down the hill, and then pulled 4 trogs, came back up the hill, pulled 2 more, and I looked behind me.
What the hell was he doing?
The blizzard moment. And I look behind me, and there's like 3 trogs that respawned. I'm like, oh, shit.
I don't know. My favorite death was absolutely Dark Moon Fair or whatever it's called. Came to outside of Stormwind, and I launched myself in the cannon, and it puts you in Crystal Lake outside of the city. But I was only like level 8 or something, and I just saw all these mobs aggroing onto me as I'm flying over them, and I landed and they killed me.
The best one for me was when you and I were in that cave, Cameron, and they just...
Oh, Inspector Fizz Sprocket.
Oh my god. Like, the whole cave respawned all at once, and they all aggroed on me immediately, turned and killed me, and then reset and didn't kill Cameron.
Yeah, they just left me to live.
They literally just spawned in, Eye of Sauron fucking, like, trains on me, blast me with a nuke.
Blizzard moment.
Yeah.
I think we're just waiting on Moody, because she said she did message saying she'll be here a couple minutes late.
So look on the right side of the screen at the damage done in the meter. The third guy. Who is Grogler?
Grogler.
There's a grogler. What the hell's a grogler?
I don't know. Why'd you name him that, Grog?
Yeah,
I didn't
that's a
name
good
him
question.
that. Not my name.
The Grogler.
75% of your name.
Yeah.
It is. It's a lot of my name.
I did my
It's even
math
got
wrong.
the double G too. It's one of your alts that you don't remember. It has to be.
No, it's not. I got a pretty good memory on some things.
His best alt is Groglet, is known.
15 more stacks of fern cloth. Fuck.
Close yet so far away.
I know. I added it up at the amount of stacks I had incorrectly in my inventory, so I left the auction house. Ooh, a fruit vendor.
Oh shit.
See if any of my items sold real quick while I'm freaking waiting for these people.
This is still just Moody. And every time. Oh wait, no, yeah, he's signed up.
Yep, stuff sold. Ah, nothing. Tiger's Eye wasn't worth it.
I've made someone very rich today.
Was that from your buying the gear?
No, from buying this rune cloth.
Yeah.
I
No,
bought like I think I
it's the
bought like
NXT
maybe
buff.
like 60 stacks from one person. So
Wow. You probably caused the price to go up too.
I've noticed. It used to be like a gold 10 and now it's like almost a gold 30 for it. So
Hey, Joy.
Yeah.
Seal of Righteousness or Seal of the Crusader for leveling? Which one would
Seal
you
of Righteousness is better.
Yeah, Righteousness cranks up DPS. You kind of want to mix it up, to be honest, with Wisdom, because that'll generate some mana.
yeah, you won't have
Okay.
a lot of mana, so
Right. So even though you kill them off quicker, you'll just deplete your mana. So
then
you'll
you'll just
spend
have
more
to sit
time
and drink
drinking.
anyway, yeah.
Mm-hmm. So your kill speed kind of goes down.
Okay. I only played a paladin from WoD on, so I have no idea what the hell I'm doing on here.
Suppose we'll just start, won't we? I don't know when Moody's getting. She might even be asleep.
Probably sleeping. Probably
Well,
sleeping.
I'm streaming it anyway on YouTube, so I'll send her a link to it.
Right.
Yeah, just post it.
Are we
in
all
the,
watching this
chat.
link that was posted?
No, just go to the stream. It'll be a lot easier.
Okay.
Yeah, do it
so
through Discord.
This is a slightly different video to what we watched a couple of weeks ago. I think this one's even more in depth with abilities to use, when to use them, exact positions of where to stand during ad fights and mob fights, boss fights. Sorry. After watching this, it's quite simple to understand what's going on, but it's very easy to get confused, which is why doing this movie night thing is actually hopefully beneficial. Some people might learn by doing rather than watching, which is fine, but as long as everyone gets some sort of knowledge at just the basics, I think we'll survive a lot more than what we would if people weren't.
I want to mute myself here so it doesn't come through.
I suppose first question is: has anyone done these raids before?
Yeah,
I have not.
years ago.
I have.
I haven't.
I did them in vanilla 20 years ago.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, many years ago.
Basically, transmog.
So you remember how to do it then, right?
Yeah, just go click buttons.
Oh, yeah.
Well, actually,
yeah.
I think this is the one. Is this the guy by Jordis or something like that? His name is.
Yeah,
Just don't stand in the fire. Click your buttons.
Yeah, this is a good video set.
So the other thing that I've been looking at, so at the moment I've not heard or seen anything from Blizzard to say that this will be post nerf. They haven't come out and said that it is, and from what I've been seeing with a lot of streamers and people that talk to the Blizzard people, is that they are still deciding whether they're going to do post or pre by Thursday. So
which is a joy.
I thought I saw somewhere that said they were going to do posts, but I could be wrong. Maybe that was someone speculating.
Just ask Joy.
I can neither confirm nor deny nerf.
So I think it's better if we go into it in the basis that it's pre-nerf to prepare for the worst outcomes. But if it's post-nerf, then that's even better. It probably means some of the abilities are not going to be used from the bosses or something. I don't know, or they won't hit as hard.
Or both.
But yeah, it's going to be a step up from what we've done anyway, and it took us a few weeks to get properly prepared and everything for SSC and TK. So I think now we're doing the movie nights and stuff. Hopefully that helps people with the tactics. We're well prepared on all of the resistance gear. There may be some people that still need some, but I think majority of the raid has their resistance gears now. If you don't, then ideally we need to try and get it done within the next 2 days.
I thought the resistance gear was for Tempest Keep, or Black Temple. Sorry, not Mine High Jaw.
Yes, it is mainly for Black Temple, but in this video, he will tell you that it's not just one boss fight that you need shadow resistance for. I think it's the first boss in this raid does shadow spells, and if you have at least 2 pieces of shadow res gear, that it can reduce the chance you get stunned, or it's the mark of Khazragal, I think. If you get that buff or debuff and you have below the mana target, you will die. And if you die, you do 12,000 damage to those people around you. But if you have shadow res gear on during that fight, or a couple of pieces, it can reduce your chance. It can increase your chance of ignoring that debuff by 30%. So it's like little things like that which can be really helpful to getting us progressing. So if you play it, obviously we can just listen and stuff. Everyone can listen, but if anyone wants to say anything, just shout stop, and Sophie will stop the button. Over to you, Soph.
Hey y'all, I'm Jerdy, and in this video, we're going to cover how to do the battle on Mount Hyjal on TBC Anniversary. Both Black Temple and Hyjal will be just like their 2022 TBC Classic versions, with no unique anniversary nerfs planned or announced as the time I'm recording this. If there are nerfs, an updated video will be given. A big shout out to the guilds Vindication and Too High, content creators Jordy and Cow Classic, and especially to everyone who joined me in that 1 a.m. Hyjal pug for helping me get this footage. Any footage that's not my own will be credited in the video, with links to their respective channels in the description. There are some significant bugs in the PTR that I want to address that hopefully don't make it into launch. Number 1, Archimonde is currently only airbursting tanks, which completely changes the fight. I'll go over a strat on how to do this if this bug makes it into live. Number 2, when starting trash on Kaz Rogal, it can bug out and just not spawn the ads ever. This was apparently a thing in TBC Classic and never got fixed. And if this happens to y'all, I would recommend just moving on to Black Temple to not lose raid time, as there's no apparent solution other than just waiting for the bug to fix itself. And last, the wave counter at the top of your screen will disappear after wave 4, so make sure you're keeping track of what wave you are on. The devs are aware of all of these bugs, so hopefully they get fixed before this goes live. Included in this video is my very descriptive cheat sheet with positioning tips and guides for each fight and all trash packs. There's also a link to Jordy's Patreon to get his interactive assignment sheet for your raid teams. Last thing before we go on, my sheets are completely free, but donating through YouTube super chats or gifts, Twitch subs, or my PayPal is greatly appreciated, as this is all a part of how I pay my bills. Just sharing this video, leaving a comment, like, and a sub is also very helpful. Thank y'all so much for supporting the channel. With that being said, let's get started. Mount Hyjal is similar to the Black Morass dungeon in that it's all waves of trash before a boss encounter, and it's also just not very well liked. There are 8 waves of trash before every boss and a total of 5 bosses. There is no trash, however, between the final 2 bosses. The first 2 bosses will take place on the Alliance side, the next 2 on the Horde side, and the final on the Night Elf side by the World Tree. Once you kill all the enemies in a trash wave, the next trash wave will make its way over to you. The scary part about this raid is that if you wipe on a boss, you don't get to start back on that boss, but instead start all the way back on the first trash wave of that boss's 8 waves. On top of that, wiping takes
you don't have to stop the
forever,
video, but
as
if
it's
you
only a
notice,
wipe if the
the
enemies kill
mobs are
Thrall
kind of
or
dragged
Jaina,
over a little bit
making
to
it
the
even more
NPCs.
painful and
We could
punishing
even
to do
drag
so. It
like
takes a
one
long
all the way
time
over
for
to
a
the
wipe
knights,
to really happen.
the
For
horses
this
that are
video,
further
I'll
down.
refer to
They'll
each
join
trash section by
the
boss
fight.
as follows. Some general rules to prevent wipes will be: never let any tank have more than 2 to 3 abominations. For week 1 and groups that just want to play it safe, I recommend running 3 tanks throughout, with at least 1 tank being a prop paladin for their massive AoE threat. Number 2, do not let necromancers get their cast off in sync on one target, or it'll more than likely kill them.
I see
This is
the
only
guards
really
joining
dangerous
every
when
time
there's 4
they
or
pull
more
around the
shadowy
corner.
necromancers. When there's 2, they're not that scary. Number 4, all mobs except
So we have to
frostworms are
interrupt on
stunnable
these
and
mobs.
CCable. So sheep, fear, hodge, whatever, use your util if it's getting messy. Number 5, and the most important rule, is let your tanks get threat. A safe way to keep threat established without losing damage uptime is to mark a kill target that everyone nukes down before you start AoEing. Hunters can misdirect Sapper or Explosion Trap to give their paladin great AoE snap threat. The easiest way to wipe in this raid is to not let your tanks get threat. Next, some general tips for this raid will be for tanks to use free action potions on A-bomb packs, especially ones with 4 or more, to be immune to their stun. Arcane Bombs and Blood Elf's Arcane Torrent are great for silencing necromancers, and Torrent's War Stomp is a great AoE stun as well.
Are you
Next,
able to
if
make
you
those
have
bombs,
deaths
Joy?
during a necromancer wave,
I
you
can't.
can mind control the last necromancer to drop
Yeah,
combat
I think I
without
have the
triggering the
recipe.
next wave, allowing you
kind
to
are they?
res, buff, and drink, and then release
Arcane
that
bombs.
necromancer to kill him to start the next wave. Next, Hyjal is an outside raid, and what I mean by that is combat is not zone wide, so you can actually drop combat during trash fights if you're not leashed to combat from other trash mobs around the area that are still active. And last, if struggling on a trash pack, drag them to the center of the Alliance or Horde camp to get help from the NPCs. They will provide a lot of help in this raid if
There was something you said about
As we move on, I'll be breaking down the
necromancers, I think.
Yeah, so the
You can
necromancers will
you can
target.
mind control one if we need to
they're all
drink, then they'll drop.
CCable.
So that's good to remember.
But
in case we
they,
wipe or
if
people
they all
die.
focus on one target, like the same target, then that person will die because of
Okay.
the amount of damage they do. So it's best to sheep, to frost trap, to the arcane bombs, if you throw them at them, will slow their casting, and it does something to their mana as well. I think it like
Drain the
reduces them,
mana.
yeah,
Oh,
to
nice.
50%. So
And then the
I mean,
one handy thing he said, like he like went real quick through it, like right at the end. But if you get, if a couple people die or low on mana or whatever, what do you say? You can mind control if there's one
Yep.
left, and it'll drop
yeah,
combat.
It drops
yeah.
combat, and you
So
can drink
before the
and
next
catch up.
wave comes,
Mhm.
yeah, you can, yeah, you mind control the last ad. Everyone can drink up. You can res up people that are dead or anything like that before the next wave comes in, and then kill it, and then you can crack on. The other thing
Yeah.
he said is that this is an outdoor raid, so between pools or stuff like, you can mount up and run around. If you've got frost, shamans can go into their frost form, druids can go into cat form, or anyone with that ability can do it to get out of danger quicker.
For the tanks, you heard the A bombs, and then tanking one or two away from the main group. So if you guys could set up your own kind of macros, that way you can self mark your A bomb that you'll be tanking. That way I won't be focused on that. I'll be focused on the rest that aren't marked, and then I'll automatically mark a skull target. That way the DPS know which one to go for first.
Yeah, no worries. So as he said, there's 8 waves of ads that come down before each boss. So there'll be the first 5 bosses. There'll be 8 lots of ads, and then in those packs is like 10 to 12 different ads. So in total, it's like 200 and something ads we have to kill.
Trash, but not showing every single trash pack in this video. For that, I will have an unlisted video of the Hyjal PTR I did in the description, as well as links to anyone else's runs that I've used in this video for everyone to see how each pool can be achieved. Let's start with Rage Winterchill's trash. So his trash will consist of 4 different types of mobs: ghouls, crypt fiends, shadowy necromancers, and abominations. Ghouls just auto-attack and enrage, and the Crypt Fiends act like their brothers in Stratholme, where they'll spam their Crypt Scarab cast and will occasionally web players around them. These 2 mobs aren't that serious and shouldn't be treated as such. The Shadowy Necromancers and the Abominations, however, are the more deadly mobs throughout this raid. Shadowy Necromancers will cast a Shadow Bolt. This is on a 2-second cast timer and will deal roughly 2,500 to 3,000 damage. They'll also cripple, raise dead, and buff themselves with Unholy Frenzy. Abominations do a 2-second knockdown that deals 4,000 damage and have an AoE disease cloud around them, taking 700 nature damage every 3 seconds. Priority of trash will be something like this: interrupt necromancers, then focus the necromancers if there's 4 or more, or focus the A-bombs if there's 4 or more, then everything else. If there are more A-bombs than necromancers, focus a few of the A-bombs down first before swapping to necromancers and AoEing. The scariest part about the necromancers, like I mentioned earlier, is that if their casts are in sync and on one target, they will delete that target in one cast. Outside of that, they're really not that bad individually. My cheat sheet also has a full description of every trash mob's ability in more detail if you want that. For positioning, the best position will be to use either the left or right towers to line of sight all the mobs, with your tanks being closest and ranged and healers being the farthest. Although I see more people using the right side versus the left, I like the left more because it's more of a flat plane, and you get to put the range on the little wheels by the house. But either side will get the job done. For all
This
trash,
left side
you'll want your
is
prop
how
paladin
I
to
think
go
we're
up and
gonna
drop a
plan on doing it.
concentrate to grab some initial threat on the mobs as they're running in. Your other tanks will taunt off the more heavy hitters, like A-bombs, to alleviate damage off your prop paladin. Starting at wave 4 is when you'll see necromancers, so make sure everyone is truly out of line of sight to bring them in, as they'll start casting as soon as they're in sight, so make sure anyone who can kick does so to get them in the proper position. The scariest waves will be waves 6 and 7, as the A-bombs here can be very deadly for 2 reasons. 1, we do not want too many on one tank,
Hey,
as they have
boss,
that
real
4,000
quick.
damage 2 seconds.
Did you guys see that kick on the casters? So
Mhm.
we would like to situate a rogue or 2, or a rogue and a shaman, someone with interrupts, just to handle that for us. There's a chance the caster may be focused on something other than the tank. So typically it's the healer. So healers, you're going to need to like recognize, oh, hey, I'm getting blasted. I need to tuck in a little tighter.
It's done. And 2, that disease
Also-
cloud tick will stack if you're in.
I just looked it up. If you don't have Arcane Bomb, it's the schematic is 1100 on the auction house. So
And
And
we've
you
got
need
that in the guild bank we can use if you haven't got it.
arcane crystals just towards the converter for it are 20 gold each.
oh,
Like it.
how do you get arcane crystals?
Mining thorium,
Well,
and there's a chance.
And every time you make one, you get 10 bombs, I think. So it's 10
3.
bombs, 1 crystal.
yeah, it's
Is
3.
it correct?
Yeah,
3.
It's 3. Yeah.
I've never gotten 1 crystal, and I've probably
And
mined over a bag of 4.
That's only one of the mats for it.
I think I've mined probably like over 1,000 borium on this character, and I don't think I've ever seen an arcane crystal. So
I got one.
Multiple of them. So if they're stacked up, you can get multiple ticks. So with 6 A-bombs, you could get anywhere from 700, 1400, 2100, up to 4200 nature damage ticks every 3 seconds. But the safest way to do wave 6 with the 6 A-bombs is to separate a couple of them from the rest of the pack to alleviate that nature damage and the stun. With 3 tanks, you can do 2 A-bombs per tank. And there are no casters on wave 6 either, so you don't really need to line of sight this pack. For pack 7, once threat is established, we want to silence the necromancers ASAP to get them into the consecration position. Do not have anyone peeking line of sight, or this will greatly disturb the flow of the pull. Like we mentioned earlier, you can crowd control some of the necromancers through sheeps, fears, stuns to reduce some of that damage. And if you lose players on these packs, remember, you can mind control the last necromancer to drop combat, res, buff, and drink before triggering the next wave. After the final pack, it's time for the first boss, Rage Winter Chill. Rage Winter Chill has 1 phase, requires only 1 tank, with 2 main mechanics, Ice Bolt and Death and Decay. Ice Bolt will pick a random target and hit them for 4,000 to 5,000 frost damage, then take 2,000 frost damage every second for 5 seconds. Death and Decay is a very large AoE ability that Rage Winter Chill will channel for 15 seconds, dealing 15% of the player's HP every second they're in it.
See
You
the
will also
graphic on the ground.
Yeah, it's tough
And then,
to see.
and then also notice how everyone's spread out.
Seconds, dealing 15% of the player's HP every second they're in it. He will also cast an AoE Frost Nova for 2500-ish frost damage to anyone 20 yards around him and root players for 10 seconds. He also has Frost Armor, which will reduce the player's attack speed by 25% and movement by 50% to players who physically attack Rage Winter Chill. None of these abilities are on any sort of timer, and when comparing the logs on the PTR, they can all be casted at completely random times. But Ice Bolt appears to be his most frequently casted ability, as he'll cast it around 7 to 8 times throughout an encounter. For this fight, because the boss isn't too challenging, you can fight him literally where he spawns, right by the towers, or drag him towards the center for Alliance army help. Either way, especially if you drag the boss back, start with a misdirect to your main tank to get great snap threat, and pop Bloodlust once in position. This boss doesn't hit too hard, so Protection Paladin is a great main tank for this fight, on top of the fact that this mob is also undead. But any tank can tank this boss. The only way issues will occur on this fight are through improper healing assignments when raid-wide damage goes out. When a target gets ice bolted, 1 to 2 healers can keep that target up. However, make sure at that time that there are healers still on the tank. For his Death and Decay, it has a very large radius and it's also very hard to see. If you've done the Botanica, it's literally the same exact animation, just that weird dusty red circle, but this one's a lot bigger. So once you see him channeling it, react quickly and get out if you're in it. The same raid healers who were assigned to Ice Bolt should also be assigned to heal those affected by Death and Decay. When a Frost Nova goes out, have a priest mass dispel the melee, as this mechanic can line up with a Death and Decay as well, which if not dispelled will lead to some deaths. Remember, no mechanics here are on any sort of timer. And last, help dispel those affected by Frost Armor. This should primarily be the Protection Paladin's job if threats established, or by your Holy Priest if raid-wide damage isn't occurring. But that's really it for this fight. It's fairly simple and not too punishing. Just don't stand in the Death and Decay. Some tips and tricks in the PTR. Your PvP trinkets on use ability will remove you from the Ice Bolt if it hits you, as well as any other immunity like Ice Block or Divine Shield. Free action potions will make you immune to Ice Bolt, but that's only if you use it before it hits you. A free action potion will also make you immune to Frost Nova and Frost Armor. A living action potion is something you can use to break the Ice Bolt if you get hit by it. However, most folks will just say screw it and pop their DPS potion and expect healers to heal them. These options are still good to use, especially for week 1 security. If Death and Decay hits the melee, the tank can stay in and just get healed, as the boss is channeling this ability and therefore not attacking while doing so. Also, remember, Hyjal is an outside instance, so you can use Ghost Wolf and Travel Form to move out of Death and Decay faster. Last, Jaina has a temporary Wind Fury-like buff that grants players near her a 100% spirit buff, so make sure you have some of your casters who benefit from that spirit near her if you pull the boss back towards the middle of the Alliance hub. But it's a fairly simple fight that shouldn't give you too many issues.
Where's
The
she at?
biggest issue and the biggest thing you
where's
must
she at?
remember is to
Jaina.
loot the vial off
Towards
of
the
her,
door.
I know
or
her.
else you
I
ain't
just
doing
wonder where
Black
she's
Temple
at.
until next week. Loot
We're just gonna
the
go camp
boss.
next to her.
But with that being said, let's move on to Anatheron's trash. Anatheron and his trash will still take place at the
Should we,
Alliance hub,
pause
so
it?
use the same.
We should probably figure out who we want to be doing those different healing aspects. Because we're gonna have tank, right? You just took a break this week, I guess, or last week.
Yeah, Dank's mute. There we go.
Okay, cool. Like if me and one druid hop over to whoever's getting ice bolted, that's probably good enough. Like a shield and slap on some heals. I don't know. We can probably figure it out on the spot, but
And there'll be mass
pretty
dispels that
straightforward.
are needed as well from you guys for when melee get Frost Nova.
yeah. If everyone's grouped up, that's nice. It's a big AoE on it, but it's also extremely expensive. So we have to hit it multiple times. It's going to put us out of mana right off the bat. But I think that should be fine since melee is going to be grouped anyway.
I mean, I can also help with the dispels. Right.
That's true, yeah. Yeah, if we miss like 1 or 2 people.
And make sure to remind everybody to loot this boss, because there will be somebody that forgets.
Yep. If you want to get into
Right,
Black
Cam?
Temple.
Yeah, I think we all know who that's going to be.
Has anyone got any other questions for that one though? For Winter Chill, it looks really easy. If I'm honest.
Yeah, it just feels like if you're too deep in the decay, I guess some people, if you have like damage negating abilities, you should use those. But
yeah,
It'll be a good check to see how good our healing gear is going to put us for the rest of the raid.
There's going to be a lot of AoE healing in this.
Yeah, I'm not sure that discipline's going to work. We'll see. I'll give it a shot because the spirit buff combined with the bonus spirit from Jaina, that will be
huge.
massive. Yeah,
Huge.
It's worth trying.
Trash. The trash mobs here will be the exact same, with the addition of banshees. These aren't too scary. They have an anti-magic shell, do a banshee wail similar to the necromancer's shadow bolt, but their biggest ability is their banshee curse that reduces your physical hit by 66% for 5 minutes. Make sure this gets decursed ASAP. Once they cast their AMS, depending on what other mobs are active, melee and hunters should swap to them and nuke them down. Waves 2, 7, and 8 will have 4 A-bombs, so make sure they're split up amongst tanks, and waves 3, 4, and 6 will have 4 shadowy necromancers, so make sure kicks and CCs are applied. These are also great packs to use arcane bombs on, especially wave 4, as it also has 2 banshees. Wave 8 has a little something for everyone, but make sure that a couple of the A-bombs are taken down first to reduce the stuns and poison clouds. Mark these with Skull and X. After that
This
pack,
Pally
it's time for
tank
boss
has
2 and our first demon
941
boss,
spellpower.
Anatheron. From here on out, all the bosses are demons, so melee and hunters should want to use their Demon Slayer elixirs versus their traditional flasks.
I forget what I'm at.
Anatheron is
800
a second
something.
encounter of Mount Hyjal, has 1 phase, requires 2 tanks, and has 2 main mechanics, Carrion Swarm and Summon Infernal. Carrion Swarm is a large frontal that picks a random target, dealing 3,000 to 6,000 shadow damage to anyone hit by it, and also reducing healing done by 75% for 15 seconds. This is casted every 12 seconds. And he'll also summon Infernals on top of a random player that pulses a gnarly 3500 fire damage every 2 seconds. The summon Infernal cast is about 4 seconds, and when Anatheron casts them is way more random than Carrion Swarm. He'll also do one of the coolest and most interactive WoW mechanic of all time, and my personal favorite, Sleep, where he'll pick 2 to 3 random players and make them sleep for 10 seconds, and during those 10 seconds, the players will get a debuff called Contemplate, where they're contemplating why they're still playing TBC 3 in the first place. That last part's not true. The first cast of Sleep goes out around the 14 to 16 second mark, with every cast to follow having about a 35 to 40 second interval. And then he also has Vampiric Aura, where he heals for 300% of melee damage taken. For this fight, it's all really about the positioning. If you're not going for a speed kill, then you'll set up your positioning the exact same way as you would Rage Winter Chill, with the boss at the middle of the Alliance hub. You could actually, to make things simple, have the exact same positioning for your players for both Rage Winter Chill and Anatheron to make everyone in your raid think less. Positioning on this fight is super important, as you want your healers evenly spread out around the boss, so you don't get too many hit by Carrion Swarm at once. The ideal position will have all your healers evenly spread out, with all ranged still by their shaman totems. On pull, use a misdirect towards your main tank and pop Bloodlust once in position. The traditional tank setup will be the bear or warrior main tanking the boss with your paladin on the Infernals, as they have exorcism to get great snap threat off them. If not using a paladin as the add tank, misdirects can help greatly, as the Infernals are not tauntable. Since the Infernals pulse that fire damage, the off tank will not be able to apply any real damage to the boss because the Infernals will melt the melee. Because of that, the off tank should make sure they gear towards as much fire resistance and stamina as possible, while also being 5.4% crit immune as the mobs are level 72. Fire resistance isn't required, but it will negate a lot of damage, especially when you start tanking 2 of them. And since you're not able to attack the boss anyway, there really isn't a point to not wear fire resistance. Make sure whoever is targeted with the Infernal landing on them moves away from everyone and gets close to your add tank. Your ranged can opt to either kill the Infernals ASAP when they spawn, or you can fully ignore them and nuke the boss. If you have relatively faster kill temps from phase 1 and 2, you can opt for the latter. Because the Carrion Swarm picks random targets throughout, your healers should communicate throughout this fight. If the healers focusing on the add tank get hit, then the healers closest to them that didn't get hit by Carrion Swarm should help pick up the slack on the off tank. If, for example, your Holy Paladin gets hit, then someone should help pick up the slack on the main tank. And when healing up those hit by Carrion Swarm, make sure we're not divvying too many healers off the main tank. And then finally, for Vampiric Aura, keep up Mortal Strike or any similar healing debuff on the boss to reduce his healing effect, or the fight will last a lot longer. And that's it for Anatheron. Just position well and have healers communicate, and this fight will fall over. Some tips and tricks on the PTR. Like I mentioned earlier, Fire Res will negate a lot of fire damage and make it easier for your healers. For Sleep, I believe Sulfuron Slammers from Blackrock Depths will break the effect, but I was unable to test it on the PTR. So if someone in the comments can test it out when this is live and tell me if it works, please let me know. And that's pretty much it for this fight. It's not too hard, just like Rage Winter Chill. You just gotta make sure your healers are communicative and reacting to their environments. After you defeat Anatheron, you'll make your way to the Horde camp. As I'm talking right now, I did forget one more bug in the PTR that I'll mention here. But as you're traveling from the Alliance camp to the Horde camp, you might just accidentally get teleported to the Scourge base for absolutely no reason and get wiped out by the Scourge there. This happened to 3 players in a row in one of my PTR runs. Very cool. Now that we're at the Horde base, we'll talk about Khazra Galtrash, if it doesn't bug out on you and not spawn for you, that is. So this area, we'll use a different spot for line of sight, and that'll be this Horde tower on the left. We'll use the front pillar for melee and the back pillar for ranged. And we'll also use the inside of the back pillar for when we have to line of sight a new type of mob in this area, Gargoyles, who will spam their Gargoyle Strike, dealing 800 to 1000 nature damage. And then the other new mob will be the Frostworm, who will cast a 2500 to 3500 AoE Frostbolt volley. These look scary, they're actually not that bad, which is a pretty common theme for a lot of the trash in tier 6. We'll go over how to take these guys down in a second. Besides that, you'll still face every other mob we've already encountered. The first wave of Kaz Rogal's trash will be 4 A-bombs, 2 Necromancers, 2 Banshees, and 4 Ghouls. A bit of a step up in terms of difficulty on the first wave. Your prop pally will still want to drop a pre-conk while running back behind the pillar. But because these mob waves often run in parallel lines, and because there are guards at the front of the entrance and not behind it here, the packs on the right will typically only aggro to those horde grunts at the front. This isn't too bad, however, as they can help alleviate some initial damage. Remember that you can stun and CC all these mobs, so do so. The second pack will be 4 ghouls and 10 gargoyles. You can have one group of melee, 1 tank, and 1 healer stay on the 4 ghouls, but everyone else should move to the back where the 10 gargoyles will spawn. Remember that you can mount here when not in combat. You want to pick up aggro on all of these gargoyles and LOS them in front of this Torrent tent. Afterwards, just nuke them down and make your way back to the Horde Tower on the left. DPS can have aggro on 1 or 2 of these gargoyles when they're LOSing, as their Gargoyle Strike cast only does around 800 to 1000 nature damage. Pack 4 will have 6 gargoyles on the right, and you can send a small ranged group, bear tank, and 1 healer to help pick them up, or just grab them after dealing with the 6 Crypt Fiends and 2 Necromancers on the left real quick. Pack 5 has 4 A-bombs and 4 Necromancers. So you may want to CC some of the Necromancers at the start, but at the very least, make sure they are staggered on their casts, and make sure everyone is LOSing before they have threat on something. Arcane Bombs, Arcane Torrent, and Silences should be used here, and split up the A-bombs on the tanks. Pack 6 will have 8 Gargoyles and 1 Frostworm. The Gargoyles will spawn on the left side this time, starting above the mountains by the Horde Tower. So now you will use the opposite side of the ranged LOS pillar inside the tower to bring the Gargoyles down to the floor. Everyone should help get threat on the gargoyles if the Horde NPCs grab them, as they'll stay high in the sky casting their Gargoyle Strike if they're not. Once the gargoyles are here, you'll now spread out and leave the LOS spot to alleviate the AoE frost damage you're going to receive from the Frostworm that's also here. To bring him down, a player with threat will either need to LOS or run in a far direction to bring him down lower. His model, however, is deceiving as he has a very large vertical plane, so melee can still hit him while he's relatively still high in the sky. You can use the Orc bunker nearby to draw him down easy. With pack 7, you'll take down the ghouls and A-bombs before you really notice the Frostworm, and you don't need to LOS the initial mobs since there are no casters here. So you can assign a range and healer to grab threat on the Frostworm and LOS him down. For pack 8, it looks like a lot, but because there's not a high amount of one particular mob, it's really easy to take this down. I would recommend on this last pack to save a Necromancer for last and mind control them so you can properly prep, clean up, and get ready for the boss fight. Because now we have to face Kaz Rogal. Kaz Rogal is a one-phase and very, very simple fight that requires 2 to 3 tanks and for your mana users to just use their eyes. He has 2 main mechanics, Mark of Kaz Rogal and Malevolent Cleave. Mark of Kaz Rogal will target mana users and burn 3000 mana over the course of 5 seconds, with each tick taking away 600 mana. If this debuff completely drains your mana while the debuff is active, you will explode for 11k damage and deal damage to others around you, essentially killing you and them as well. He'll cast the first mark after 1 minute and then start casting in quicker intervals of 10 seconds. So 1 minute, then 50 seconds, 40, 30, until he eventually starts spam casting it, making this fight a DPS check, but a very lenient DPS check. His Malevolent Cleave is what prevents this from being a solo tank encounter, as it will hit for 23,000 damage split amongst 3 targets. This happens every 7 to 10 seconds. He also will cast a Cripple around 18 to 22 seconds on a random player, reducing movement and attack speed by 75%, and will War Stomp players 12 yards around him roughly every 15 to 20 seconds, stunning them for 5 seconds. For this fight, you can position him right at the entrance to get some of the Horde army to help, or move him by Thrall to get most of the army to help. But since this fight has a timer on it, I would recommend just starting it as soon as you can. Either way, send with the Misdirect to your main tank and Lust once in position. Make sure your tanks are all stacked up, as you don't want to cause a wipe in the first 7 seconds because your tanks didn't soak the cleave. Your soaker tanks should focus on high stamina and mitigation to make it easier for your healers to heal. The boss does hit relatively hard, so make sure the main tank is being kept up. You can easily do this with 2 tanks, but 3 will be comfy and secure for week 1. Because of the mana drain mechanic, it's best the Protection Paladin have aggro and be the actual main tank so they can gain mana back through spiritual attunement. If they're not the main tank, it's not the end of the world, they just really can't cast their abilities because it'll drain their mana pretty fast. Outside of that, there's not much to this fight. Have mana potions, demonic and dark runes, mana gems, judgment of wisdom, and your shamanistic rage, mana tide totems, evocations, all planned out evenly to keep your mana high. And warlocks should be freely life tapping to never have mana issues. You need to have more than 3000 mana before Mark of Kaz Rogal is active to be safe. If you do not, run out and don't kill anyone. Besides that, that's really it for this fight, you guys. Some tips and tricks in the PTR: you should plan out your mana regen abilities early. For example, if you are a Holy Priest in a group with a Resto Shaman, you don't want to accidentally pop Shadow Fiends along with getting a Mana Tide Totem, but rather stagger those to really max out your mana regen. Because this fight will last a little more than 2 minutes for most groups early on, you should mana pot early, that way you can mana pot again later on. And immunities like Divine Shield and Ice Block will remove the debuff if you have it, so you can use these to prevent explosions if you're low on mana. Please, 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 please do not be the reason your team wipes and you have to start the entire trash process all over again, especially on Kaz Rogal where it can bug out. But that's it for this fight. It's easy, just pay attention. The final wave of trash will be Asgalore's trash, where we get introduced to 2 more mobs, Infernals and Fellhounds. Infernals apply a dispellable debuff that increases fire damage taken by 50 for 1 minute. And
do we know what our healing makeup's going to be for this? We've been looking for a Resto Shaman, right? But I think we still only have 4 officially.
Yep. I've been spamming bloody guild recruitment on WoW and trying to get another Resto Shaman, but there's literally none. It's like just everyone's taken. I messaged that sick one. He said he's down to roll with us once he has time. But he's been busy with work for the last few weeks, so he hasn't really tuned into the new fate. So there's a chance he could join us, but yeah, he's not really sure what to do at the moment.
Yeah, I'm trying to think what kind of mana regen we have as far as groups go. If we do have a Resto Shaman, that helps a ton for the healing group. We could maybe put, I don't know if we want to have the Shadow Priest in the healing group or the DPS group.
If needed to, I could
Get a lot of
always
potions.
run mine if we need it. At least for the Hydro.
See what happens.
Yeah, there's not a lot of shamans out there for some reason.
This stacks.
Yeah, no. At least BT's not as demanding for Resto, at least. So we could always get like a different healer for that. But yeah, if we need until we get one, like I said, just let me know.
Yeah.
They also pulse 400 to 500 fire damage every 2 seconds. Fellhounds cast Mana Burn. This can and should be interrupted. Both of these mobs can be banished, so if it does get a little sketchy, banish a few of them to make life a little easier. The first wave opens up with 6 A-bombs and 6 Necromancers. I would highly recommend, after threats established here, to CC as many Necromancers as you can at the start and spread out the A-bombs to alleviate as much damage as possible. Use all of your stuns like Hodge, Kidney Shot, War Stomps to keep the A-bombs from attacking. Wave 2 will have you using the left side gargoyle LOS spot, as we mentioned in the last section, to gather all the gargoyles down along with the frostworm. There will also be 5 ghouls here, but they aren't that serious. You can even let the grunts take care of them while you focus down on the others. Wave 3 introduces us to the infernals, where they'll drop from the sky throughout the horde camp. One infernal will spawn to the very far right of the base, so have a hunter pick it up and drag it in. Some infernals will spawn with the Tauren warriors, and typically those warriors will kill them without your help because they're insane gigachads. You can have one tank head out to grab the infernals with a couple hunters misdirecting them to bring them all together, while the rest of the raid focuses on the infernals that spawn closer to where everyone's at with the 6 ghouls as well. The following wave, wave 4, swaps the 6 ghouls for 6 fellhounds, giving us all demon mobs here. This is another great spot for Arcane Torrent and Arcane Bombs. If it gets a little chaotic, remember warlocks can start banishing a few mobs to alleviate that tension. Use the same strat with hunters and a tank for picking up the far infernals, as we just mentioned earlier. It's good for the raid to mark a kill target while your other tanks are establishing threat, as since these mobs are so spread out, threat will always feel pretty loose. Pack 5 has 6 Fellstalkers, 4 A-bombs, and 4 Necromancers. Once threat is established, use your silences and CCs to mitigate damage and the mana burn, and spread out the A-bombs. Wave 6 is Caster City and can easily one-shot folk if done incorrectly. 6 Necromancers and 6 Banshees. LOS, CC, silence, and nuke these down. This is also a great pack for Horde players with War Stomp. Really utilize incapacitates like Gouge or Repentance just to desync their casts. After that, packs 7 and 8 will feel fairly simple as the mobs are greatly divided up, making it easy to split damage amongst your tanks. And after all of that, we make our way to the 4th boss, Asgalore. Asgalore is a one-phase encounter, requires 2 tanks, and has 3 main mechanics: Doom, Rain of Fire, and Howl of Asgalore. Doom occurs every 50 seconds and will mark a target at random with a 20-second debuff that'll kill them when that timer runs out, summoning a Doom Guard in their place. If a player dies with Doom while the debuff is still active, it'll still summon the Doom Guard, so you can't do anything tricky like a DI, and you cannot bubble this off. The Doom Guard has 2 abilities: Cripple, a 50% movement and attack speed decrease, and War Stomp, a 5-second stun to those in melee range of him. Cripple is only casted on whoever has threat on that Doom Guard. Asgalore's Rain of Fire is a unique one compared to other Rain of Fire abilities. It'll pick any player within a 30-yard range to spawn the Rain of Fire for 10 seconds, dealing 1700 to 2000-ish fire damage every 2 seconds. But it also has a special additional effect of applying a dot, Unquenchable Flames, to anyone who gets hit by it, dealing 1250 fire damage every second for 4 seconds. Even if you run out of the fire, the dot will still finish up its duration. Because this is only casted within a 30-yard range of the boss, this means that most range classes, except for Shadow Priest, can outrange it, and healers can especially outrange it. Alone, not a terrible mechanic, but this also pairs with Howl of Asgalore, a raid-wide 5-second silence. On top of that, Asgalore hits like Magtheridon, and also cleaves like Magtheridon, meaning this is a very heal-intensive fight, especially with no tier 6 gear. All mechanics outside of Doom only have a cooldown, but not a strict timer, meaning the fight can feel very different every time you do it. Because of this, I would recommend for many teams in week 1 to run a 6th healer for this encounter. For this fight, you should pull Asgalore and position him towards Thrall to get their help. Use a hunter to misdirect, and make sure nobody is in front of the boss as you're pulling him back, as you don't want anybody to get cleaved, as it will kill anybody but your tank typically. Your casters can be positioned far enough to outrange the Rain of Fire, with the exception of your Shadow Priest. It may not be in the raid's best interest, however, to have all your ranged at max range, especially if you're melee heavy, as you could potentially bait only one person getting hit with Rain of Fire with some of your ranged in Rain of Fire range, or always have it on your melee, which is around 10 or so players. But once everyone's in position, go ahead and lust, and whoever is your beefiest tank should be on Asgalore, with your other tank on Doom duty. A prop paladin is the best for being the off tank on this encounter. A really geared prop warrior is best for Asgalore because of their cooldowns like Last Stand and Shield Wall. All tanks, regardless who's taking the boss, should wear max survivability, avoidance, and mitigation gear on this encounter. As we mentioned, the only mechanic here on any sort of timer is Doom, meaning that abilities like Rain of Fire and Howl of Asgalore can line up together, which can be deadly. Because of this, melee should be max ranged and stacked on one side of the boss. If fire spawns on top of melee, move to the opposite side. Your tank may have to adjust the boss as well. The Rain of Fire can also spawn on NPCs, not just players, meaning that you can potentially get the Rain of Fire to spawn on Thrall in melee versus the actual melee players. So if you position on the opposite side of Thrall as melee and fire spawns on top of you, you can move over to Thrall's side, and then once the fire goes away, move back to that side to hope that the next Rain of Fire will spawn on his side and not y'all's side. Because of the scary RNG with Rain of Fire and Howl of Asgalore potentially lining up together, melee players especially may want to save their potions for a health pot to pair with a health stone to survive the Rain of Fire and Unquenchable Flames debuff, at least on week 1. There should be assigned healers to heal this raid damage and those who need to permanently stick on the tank. After 50 seconds, the first player will be affected by Doom. They must make their way to the Doom tank before this debuff expires. The Doom tank should make sure they're running out of the Rain of Fire range and not be near any other players to stun them when the Doom Guard spawns. The player affected by Doom should not be on top of the tank, but close to the Doom Guard tank, as the Doom Guard will stun those who are near them instantly once he spawns. Similar to Anatheron, the off tank cannot bring adds into melee and help DPS. Because of this, the off tank should also wear their beefiest stamina and survivability set, just like the main tank, to make the life easier for all healers. Besides that, just keep the main tank alive. Raid healers keep the raid alive during Rain of Fire, and this boss will fall over. Some tips and tricks from the PTR. Like I mentioned earlier, I would play on the safe side and run a 6th healer for this encounter, at least in early weeks. Howl of Asgalore, big tank damage, and the Ring of Fire plus the debuff make this a pretty healing intensive fight, especially if RNG procs Howl of Asgalore during Ring of Fire or a cleave. Those hit by the Ring of Fire and the debuff, assuming they get out ASAP, should survive with 1 to 2 heals. You just can't panic and have every healer swap to those hit by it, or your tank will die. If you can heal yourself as a DPS player, do it. Healers should consider wearing heavy shadow resistance to potentially resist the Howl of Asgalore, as it is a shadow spell and can be resisted. And everyone should be buffed with a Priest's Prayer of Shadow Protection to give everybody a chance to resist it. Outside of that, it may be in the best interest of melee DPS players to save their potions for a health pot and pair that with a health stone during a bad silence plus Ring of Fire combo. If you are close to a kill and everyone's dying, remember that the fight isn't over until either Thrall or Jaina die. And if the boss is almost dead, they can actually finish this fight for you. And just some clarification, you'll notice that in this video, we did not pull Asgalore towards Thrall at the start. And that's just because we didn't have a hunter for a misdirect, so we felt like it'd be easier just to pull him here. But Thrall came in clutch and finished the job for us after we all fell over. After you defeat Asgalore, congrats, there is no more trash. You'll make your way up the path and talk to Tyrande Whisperwind to pick up Tears of the Goddess, and when you do, put this on your action bar with a very easy or accessible keybind, or somewhere with an easy access for you to click it, and we'll go over why as we explain the final boss of this raid, Archimonde. Archimonde is a one-phase fight requiring one tank with several mechanics. He has 3 main mechanics: Airburst, Doomfire Strike, and Fear. Airburst is casted every 17 to 20 seconds and will deal 3k damage while also sending its target and anyone around that target high into the sky, similar to Solarian's Wrath, but players this time will die from fall damage. Doomfire Strike summons a fire that tends to follow a player and leave a trail of fire along its path. Although the tooltip says it's random padding, it does tend to follow players from what I've seen. Touching the fire applies a 45-second ticking fire debuff, where the damage will decrease with each tick. This is casted every 8 seconds. His Fear is a 2-second cast that lasts for 8 seconds when casted, and he'll cast it every 40 to 60 seconds. He has 2 other mechanics being Grip of the Legion, a curse that deals 2500 shadow damage every 2 seconds, and Soul Charge, which procs upon a player dying and has a different effect depending on what class dies. His curse appears to be more random of a cast time, but he can cast this often and very frequently, with some logs showing him cursing players in intervals of 4 seconds. Ideally, you'll want a clean execution as deaths can snowball and chain to more deaths due to Soul Charge. Archimonde will also one-shot an entire raid if you try to drag him out of his boss arena to prevent anyone from trying some sort of kite strategy. For this fight, you'll want to position the raid as shown here, with every group having a shaman, decursor, and healer at the ready. All ranged groups should loose spread around their shaman, and the melee should have 2 to 3 groups behind the boss at max melee range to prevent multiple people from getting hit by airburst. All shamans should drop their tremor totems here throughout the entirety of the fight. You can't swap from Strength of the Earth to Tremor because of the cast time, but just to play it safe for week 1, just leave the tremor down the entire time. Your priest should rotate Fear Wards on the main tank to prevent him from having his back turned from a longer fear from an unfortunate bad tremor totem tick. Every mechanic here is crucial and requires quick reaction timing. Decurse Grip of the Legion ASAP. Have tremor totems down before fear casts go off, and pump heals into the tank. You'll want to avoid as much raid damage as possible. Pretty much all raid damage is avoidable except for Grip of the Legion, at least 1 or so ticks. But again, it should be decursed ASAP. When Doomfire Strike goes out, it will have a Flame Strike animation at first, and then start padding. If it's close to melee, as soon as they see the animation, they need to be aware of potentially moving. There is no DPS check on this fight, so play to live, especially in the early weeks. Tanks need to analyze their surroundings and look if they have to reposition, especially if fires are too close to melee. Tremor totems will break fears eventually, but a bad tremor take can be too late on preventing a player from getting feared into a fire. As we mentioned earlier, Airburst will kill players from fall damage. However, this is where we use the Tears of the Goddess that we picked up from Tyrande Whisperwind, as its on-use effect will slow your fall for 2 seconds. You'll want to use this right before you hit the ground. If you use it too early, you'll still die from fall damage. If you use it too late, well, you're gonna die from fall damage. Remember again to not stack too close to your groups to prevent multiple people from getting hit by Airburst. And this is also why we spread out our healers, as we don't want too many healers getting hit at the same time from Airburst. Raid damage should only be healed by healers who are near that group of players who took damage, but also be vigilant on the tank's HP, as the boss will hit a tier 5 bis tank for around 6 to 8k a swing. Your goal of this fight is just to keep everybody alive, as we do not want any soul charges to go out. A soul charge going out can be a fatal chain of events, but it's not over just because it happens. Once you get Archimon to 10%, the fight is over as the World Tree will fight back and help you finish the job that happened many years ago. Some tips and tricks for the PTR. Similar to Asgalore, for early weeks, you may want to save your potions for health pots along with health stones to survive any oh shit moments, like getting feared into the fire while also getting the grip of the Legion curse. Remember, this is not a DPS race, it's an execution fight. We want to prevent as many soul charges as possible from entering this encounter. Cleanliness is the name of the game. You can also equip your PvP trinket to break the fear if you're about to walk into a fire, and traditional fear immunities like a warrior's Berserker Rage will also break and prevent fears. For the PTR, if this fight stays bugged, like we mentioned earlier, where Archimon keeps only airbursting the tank, then the fight can change dramatically. And there are a few ways to counter this, although they're not permanent solutions by any means. 1. You can drag Archimon to a wall for the tank to keep eating the airburst and prevent the boss from moving. The tank will just have to use Tears of the Goddess as well. Option 2 is using this little tree stump, or this log rather, in the middle of the area to keep you grounded as shown here. This log has a little branch on top of it that acts as a ceiling that'll keep you from getting knocked up. Or option 3, a bear or warrior tank can immediately intervene, intercept, or charge as soon as they get hit by airburst to get immediately grounded. Obviously the fight was not intended to be this way, so the way to beat this unintended mechanic is very wonky, but it can be done. The only issue with using options 1 and 2 is that if you get fire on there, then you have to reposition, especially for number 2, as you're not near a wall and next time you get airburst, the boss will move dramatically. And one more thing, although the airburst knockup mechanic is hitting the tank, the 3k damage it also deals is still hitting the correct target. And that's it for our Battle of Mount Hyjal guide for TBC Anniversary. Remember that I have the full PTR VODs up for all the fights and trash minus Archimon in my description, and I'll have links to Jordy's and Cow Classics POV. Jordy's is from TBC Classic and will have the correct Archimon kill, and Cow Classics is from this recent PTR and will have a bugged Archimon kill, as well as both of their full Hyjal runs for you to use as a reference. That's all I have for y'all today. I hope this
And what's everyone think?
It's so easy, baby.
We're ready to rock.
It looks like a walk in the park, baby boy.
Yes, it looks so easy. It's just a lot of healing and a lot of DPS.
And a lot of ads.
My worry is
a lot of trash. Yep.
What was that say?
I said my worries are Black Temple.
Yeah, Black Temple should be alright. We'll get this done, and then we'll have to find a video and try and get everyone to watch the Black Temple one from him in depth.
Yeah.
But I do think Black Temple's going to be Tuesday and Wednesday at first.
I just hope we don't freaking wipe and have to freaking redo the goddamn waves again. That's going to be annoying.
It's going to happen.
Yeah, that's going to be really annoying.
It's going to happen the first week or two.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah, but you only do the waves for the boss you're on. It doesn't go all the way back to the beginning.
Right.
Yeah. So
still, they're not going to be enjoyable, but
it's not going to be enjoyable.
Silver lining is you get red.
My question is, if we do wipe, do they have a can you still loot the ads over and over and over again? Is that something that you can do, or
I would assume the bosses respawn, kind of like how when you kill part of the packs in SSC.
Okay, because that might be good strategy just to farm trash loot for a while. Just reset or something, and just get everybody's fucking trash loot going through.
It should be easier. It doesn't look too difficult. It's just literally everyone's got to be aware of their surroundings and their role.
Yep.
And we have the NPCs to actually assist as well. So
yeah,
probably utilize them as much as
How
possible.
does that work? So do they have a static amount of health? Can we heal them? Do they heal in between fights? If we use them in the first wave, then and they die, are they out? So do we need to figure out when the best time to use them is?
Yeah, I think a lot of it will be we have all the threat of it and we just drag them over, and then they won't take the threat off of us. They just help as additional damage. I don't think there's any need to. I think some of them have healers, so they heal themselves.
Interesting. Yeah, if there's like incidental raid damage that goes out, if it hits them and they just eventually wean off, then it makes sense to only use them later. But I don't know how it works.
On the Tauren side, I'm sorry, not on the Horde side with the Tauren and the Infernals, it looked like one Tauren was killing an Infernal by himself on one of the areas. They just had one guy.
That's what he was
kicking
saying.
his butt.
The Infernals sometimes the NPCs will be able to handle. So
yeah, we just use them. Use them for just small damage.
Yeah, free damage.
Yeah.
Use them as long as we can. I agree.
But it'll be quick on dispels, people in the right positions, and it looks like plenty of communication.
Yeah.
But we are definitely a healer short for Thursday at the moment. Sick one can't make Thursday.
Well, we'll just do the best we can.
I mean, I could swap if we need to. Instead of being right, I can go to Holy.
Holy what?
It looks like
Holy Paladin.
Yeah. It looks like we're going to need you for Asgalore anyway, because it recommends 6 healers.
Yeah, that's fine.
At beginning, but
honestly, my Holy Pally is probably better geared than my Ret Pally right now because I got some shit left with the drops. So.
For Archimon, it seems like decursing is going to be really important. So I think we're going to have druids drop out of tree form to decurse.
What about mages too, though? We can get mages just to help with that too.
Yeah, but I feel like
everybody has to do it. It's like #1 priority apparently.
Yeah, so anyone can.
I'm not just saying just mages, but they can just help out with that shit, right? Like,
yeah. They could. They have a decurse ability, just like how Pallies can help with the spells if we need it. So.
The only one you've got to get down really quickly is Khazragal because of that mark of Khazragal that he uses. It speeds up, like it's at first every minute, then it's every 40 seconds, 30 seconds, 20 seconds. So that's like
they said it's possible to like divine shield out of it.
Yeah, you can.
Okay, I did hear that correctly then. Okay.
The mark of Khazragal, I think you can ice block and stuff. No, you can't. You can't divine shield a mark of Khazragal. It will kill you regardless.
I think the one where you said you could get out of it was the one that's doing the mana debuff, where if you get less than 3,000, you die.
Yeah,
so you can ice block you can ice block that one and bubble that one.
Is that not the mark of Khazragal? Or am I crazy?
No. I think the
mark
of Khazragal
is the mana drain.
Yeah, it's the other one I think with Asgalore.
Yeah, that's the one where you got to drag you got a guy on you, and then you got to get the off tank to pick him up. You can't get off that.
Asgalore, you get a debuff and you die, and then it spawns an elemental.
Yeah, and you got to make sure that you're not too close to that guy.
Okay.
To the tank, because he stuns when he gets spawned.
Yeah. So that one you can. That one you can't shield out of. You will die. But Mark of Khazragal, yes, you can ice block or bubble or something like that.
And the key is just make sure you're not around everybody else. Because if you blow up, you don't want to blow up everybody.
No. So we should be able to clear it first night. I don't see why we can't clear it first night.
When you look at the DPSs, we have the DPS to do this based on what these guys were doing on the PTR.
Yeah. Enjoy. You're gonna take your fire res setting with you for the.
Hey, by the
yeah.
way, I forgot to tell you guys, I bought the recipe for the haste potion for my potion master. So, if you guys
What do
need
you need
haste
for it?
potion, I have to look at it. I forgot. Fuck, I have to look. But it's fairly cheap. I get like out of like 10 maybe created them, I might get like 4 or 5 procs. So I mean, it's pretty huge. It'll save some people gold.
Well, since it's a haste potion, you ought
And
to
I have
hurry
the
up and make some.
and I have the spellcaster one as well for the DPS for the crit.
So
Nice.
anyone who's got engineering, like I know you have, Joy, anyone who's got engineering can use the arcane bombs at 300 engineering, and they're currently going for 13 gold each.
Yeah. I can make them, so I do have the recipe on.
I have what you need 300 engineering.
Yeah, to use the bombs.
Okay.
To use them.
I can use.
But you
those
can buy
with
them on the
Scooter.
AH.
Yeah, same here.
I'm trying to find the Gruul's group if anyone wants to join. By the way,
If it's no DST, I'll join. Like hard res, whatever.
Yeah.
But
And
I
if
mean, we're
anyone
all
didn't,
here.
if anyone didn't notice, I can make the shadow resist armor kits too, leather working ones.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna need a couple of those.
All right. Well, it looks like I'm gonna end this here. It looks like we're done.
Sure, there are quite a few of us here. If we want to do a quick rules.
Hopefully, if this, you guys see this video, hopefully it helps you out as well.
You can make the shadow res kits.
Talk about some good points here, and the video is pretty damn good.
Morty.
Can we do mag too then?
So, I'll see you
I'm okay
guys
with doing mags.
possibly tomorrow. What we're looking at is, I think, Thursday.
Yeah, let's be back.
Thursday, I think we're doing Hydro.
yeah, I don't care doing max either. I just want to have a chance for DST.
So, I'll see you guys.